Hello, everyone. Hope you had a good lunch. My name is Elinor, and I'm part of the team at LinkedIn that heads the VC and PE partnership program. What we do is we partner with VCs and different funds to help their portfolio companies when they hire to access our LinkedIn recruiter and other solutions that help them scale. Because we all know that startups, when they grow, they have three main challenges: build a product, capital, so raising the funds, deploying the capital, selling, as well as recruitment. That's where you hire the right talent to help you with your two other challenges. But what happens is that when a founder finds themselves without yet being able to afford the talent acquisition, they really wing it, right? They post jobs and they use their network, and then before they know it, they realize that their approach is wrong and the wrong people are in their seats. So this is exactly the gap that we're trying to fill for your portfolio companies, to help them recruit the right people with our tools, but also to help you add value and really create that value creation piece. So we already have funds as partners like Sequoia, Blackstone's Insight Partners. That's in the US, and now we're expanding broadly into EMEA. So we're looking for a few partners to start with where we see that there is a good fit. So if you want to hear more, you can scan that and register your interest. And without further ado, I want to introduce you to Kirsty, who will give you a really fascinating overview from what LinkedIn is seeing around scaling companies in EMEA, from the shifting skills demand to how AI is changing our workforce. Kirsty, take it away.
Thank you very much. Should I have the clicker, Eleanor? I am Kirsty Newman. I am a senior customer success manager at LinkedIn. So my role is really making sure that the clients that we have are making the most out of the tool. So what I'm going to cover today is an overview of the market and how really that comes into fruition into the ways we work with our clients. So really simply, when we look at LinkedIn, our vision is really foundational and part of everything that we do, which is economic opportunities for everybody. So we look at both from a recruitment lens and also people that are using it day to day. It is about making sure that features enable the teams to do that. And this then creates what we term as the economic graph. So this gives us a real idea as to what's happening in the market and a real-time opportunity as to the different members, different companies, different skills that are growing year over year across our database. So just so you know, in terms of a recent snapshot, we've actually now made it to 1.3 billion members, but then this comes into 65 million different companies, 41,000 skills, and also when we're looking at other areas such as schools, this is something that we are continually looking to grow and making sure that people are part of that journey right at the beginning of their education into the workforce. But really interestingly, when we look at how often the platform is being used, we have every minute 7 people placed in a role. So whilst we're together, say for the next hour, or maybe less, that is 70 people that are being placed into new opportunities, all grounded around our mission and value in terms of economic opportunities. So this enables us to be able to guide our clients and understand actually where they invest day to day. And we sit in a really unique position. I think traditionally people see LinkedIn as purely a job board, but actually we're in the realms between premium publisher and social media. People are there to network and to engage. They're there as well to understand what is actually happening in terms of news. So a lot of the way that people will curate their news feed is through the people that they follow, the hashtags that they follow, and the type of content that they engage in. So what is LinkedIn Talent Solutions, which is essentially where I sit within the business? So we have 3 main core opportunities. The first one is the recruiter and job side. So essentially the traditional way of posting and sourcing opportunities. We then have our first agentic solution, which is hiring assistant. So something that you might have seen in the last year being spoken about. This was charted by over 700 different businesses, 500 from staffing agencies, And this is actually our first agentic solution to enable you to have one working day back of the week to really enhance that candidate and client experience. The third part is learning. So this is all about essentially retaining and growing the skills that you have within your business. So the first two are about attracting that talent. The third pillar is about retaining that through the different skills opportunities within your business. And there's a lot more opportunities within that pillar, especially when we look at sandbox environments for testing new AI literacy skills. And I sit in between this realm here, which is around jobs and hiring assistant. So where I see trends, and this comes from both our own economic data, but also the fact that I work with 45 different recruitment agencies, what we are seeing is hiring is steady and the terms of cautious optimism. I think when we look at pre-pandemic times, there's still a slight decline. There was a lot more competition for talent, so there is a lot of tightness there. There's less movement when it comes to layoffs and other areas too. There's also been a significant amount of change over the last couple of years when it comes to politics, and what we find with hiring, it has a direct correlation as to what the economy is looking at. So in terms of hiring, there is steady growth in pockets, in particular Ireland, for example, consumer, healthcare, life sciences, and this is where people are then looking to grow in areas such as the US, for example. So in terms of hiring, it is slightly tight, competition is fierce, and we're also seeing when it comes to applications, there are still need for flexible ways of working. We're seeing more focus on areas where there are smaller businesses prioritizing contract recruitment because it's more risk adverse for businesses, and it leans into the two key areas where we're seeing more supply versus demand when it comes to applications and jobs. One being hybrid, and that won't ever change, and the second part being remote-based work too. So that flexibility is where we're seeing businesses win, in particular around the contract space. The third part is AI, and it's something that creates two things. It helps businesses from an efficiency point of view, but also when we look at the skills and what that's doing in terms of the market too. What we term is almost a Frankenstein approach. People are bringing in a lot of their AI, and actually a lot of the time that I'm spending with businesses is actually going back to basics and looking at that change management aspect, because there's lots of ways in which AI can help accelerate, but actually there's a lot of crossover within people's tech stacks already. So this area in particular is where I work with a lot of different businesses, is how do you do more with less, and how do you have those quick wins in terms of efficiency gains? So this isn't new when we look at the shift in terms of work, and it's really interesting to see the different generations and essentially what that means in terms of the workforce too. So first of all, it was very much led by agriculture, and then we led more into the beginning of, I guess, accelerating that supply chain and using technology to help enhance. And now we're moving more into that generative way of working. And it's more about transformation as usual. And that is something that we are leaning into more than ever. And if we look at where AI is growing and improving, it is actually in a lot of those traditional areas such as education, healthcare, not just the traditional IT landscape too. So AI is driving two things: skills, and it's also looking at efficiency. And when we look at skills, now I find this really interesting. By 2030, 70% of the skills used in most jobs will change as a disruption of AI. And if we think about our own jobs and what we do day to day, it's important to think about essentially the tasks that you do and where can you automate and where can you add human value. So that's something within that skills area, is looking at the types of skills, and there's more people investing in Copilot, ChatGPT, coding across our LinkedIn members, and we're actually seeing an uplift of 141% when we look at more AI literacy skills too. And this curve shows exactly that, the growth of member skills on LinkedIn that we're seeing build year over year, but in particular around the world of AI. And if we look at this chart here, so this is from our economists, is looking actually at the particular job functions of where AI is enhancing those areas. And as you can see at the beginning, it is engineering, but we're seeing a lot more come through, such as education, consulting being a huge area. So there's now a lot of focus around how professional services and consulting can actually use AI to help with other business to create different opportunities in terms of their infrastructure. But it's really important to think about not necessarily what's left for humans, but what is the opportunity that AI brings and what is possible. So within the market, there was a lot of things that we had to navigate. There was COVID, there was hybrid working. We're now looking at the new generational workforce. And actually, when we translate that into what the LinkedIn platform does for us, is it gives you an area of opportunity to tap into the most diverse economic graph. It also, with the Microsoft partnership, allows you to leverage the most trusted data for us to then enable you to, again, create new areas of opportunity. We have an influx of skills taxonomy, and this is something that we have now been able to venture more into through roles like myself to actually understand within AI what is going to make a difference in terms of the features that we have. And this leads into where we are seeing a lot of people investing, and to a point made earlier, is 76% of employees want to learn about AI and actually understand from the task day to day what is going to make a difference. And this is what we're seeing when it comes to the hiring solutions. So on the left-hand side is where a lot of people are investing their time, and it's impacting in terms of low impact and value. So that's screening, that's a lot of communication, again, to make sure you have that positive candidate experience. But that is a lot of admin-based tasks that doesn't need to have necessarily that time investment there. Where companies are winning and where we're allowing people to then untap and create opportunities through using AI is more through data-driven analysis. So people within the market will be able to then guide people as to new areas of opportunity of growth, but this is the sweet spot that our features are enabling people to do. So automating the things that are slightly mundane, creating little value, but actually leaning into the market expertise that they have in addition to the LinkedIn economic graph. So how do we get to that point? So LinkedIn, in partnership with Microsoft, we have access to, as I mentioned, the economic graph, which is a real-time timestamp as to what the market is looking at. And then by having the trusted platforms such as Microsoft, and making sure that we have all the GDPR compliant and grade A compliancy in terms of the data that we use, in addition to the type of technology that we use, we've been able to then create opportunities that will bring that time back to be that strategic partner. And in terms of the time, and these are the clients that I am working with day to day, they're getting that 1 day back so that they can lean into those softer skills to ensure that they are retaining that business and driving results. So, as mentioned, tension between speed and quality. So, when we look at the difference, it is better data, better outcomes. It's actually leaning into where we are seeing those results being driven. And if we look at what that's then creating, is essentially a new era of opportunity through what we've called Hiring Assistant, which is our new agentic AI. So what Hiring Assistant essentially does is it works alongside you to source and find different areas of opportunity, building into that skills taxonomy that we're now able to unlock. And through that, we're able to then reduce profile views by 62%, have 1 working day back, and lean into that data strategist area that you're then able to find new business, find new talent, and create new opportunities. But I will pass over to Anya to close.
Hello, everyone. Just want to talk a little bit more about the partnership and the private equity and VC partnership that we are establishing now. We have established it first in the US and AIM, and now we are scaling it more actively in EMEAL. So as a part of the partnership, the portfolio companies would have access to hiring and learning and intelligence products. What that means is that our goal was how can we drive the value for the portfolio as much as possible? So by partnering with the funds at no cost to fund, we will provide 3 key value categories. The first one, the discounted offering, right? So all of the products that Kirsty was talking about, that would be with some perks or discounts. We would also offer a dedicated support for the portfolio. So apart from just mapping the sales reps to each portfolio company, We would also have a dedicated point of contact for the fund. So if there are any issues that arise, you can reach out to them directly. And thirdly, events and insights. So what does it mean? LinkedIn has a lot of data. It's a huge platform, over 1 billion members. So we can either attend some of the events that you're having or offer events for your portfolio companies, and that with insights about the labor market, about the talent acquisition teams, what are the roles that are hardest to hire, the easiest to hire, how can you hire most efficiently. In terms of joining the partnership, it's quite easy. If you can scan the QR code here, you will be redirected to the contact form. And moving onwards, we will contact you and we can discuss we'll analyze the portfolio companies and try to tailor the offering of LinkedIn to your portfolio as much as possible, figure out what events we can host together. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.